Special welcome to the military who may be on board. You see the Alamo City is also known as Military City, USA. What brought me here as a kid way back when. I grew up in Air Force craft, moving around all over the place. Came here. Now I got a great job. We get to show off my hometown. People from literally all over the world. How about that? So my name is Captain Carl, and I'm your boat captain as well as tour guide for the next about 35 minutes as I guide you on the beautiful waters of the San Antonio River. Point out some of the stories, point out some of the sites, show you some stories about them. After all, you guys, this is a narrated tour. As your ticket indicates, a lot of talking going on. You guys had to notice the tour has started, so if I can have everybody's attention, please. This is a narrated tour. And that's why, of course, I have the headset and the microphone. Everybody can hear, but you know what? It's hard to hear me, even with the microphone, when everybody's talking. So there's more of you than there is of me. So I do ask your cooperation. If you would be so kind, if you need to say something to the person next to you, I understand I do. I just ask that you do so quietly. It's like you would in the movie theater, no big deal. And if you do it quickly, then you don't miss out on the story. It's lots to cover in a short amount of time. Don't want you to miss out on things. So please also turn the ringers on your cell phones to silent or vibrate so we don't get interrupted. If you get a phone call, just let it go to voicemail. No talking on the cell phones here on the boat. We'll be back before you know it. You can tell them all about what they miss out. But I want to make sure you guys don't miss out on things. So go to camera mode, take a lot of pictures. And I want to help you make some wonderful memories this morning. Memories will last a lifetime. Like I say, not miss out on things. Safety rules, really important. So I hope I have everybody's attention here so you don't wind up in the river there. All right, first off, no umbrellas. I got to be able to see as I drive. Secondly, stay seated all times. Keep everything inside the boat. That's about it. Hands, arms, elbows, little ones, phones, cameras. Don't lean over the rails. Don't reach up and touch the footbridges. That's a big one. Back here by me, guys, underneath these hatches, we have a lot of life vests. Don't worry. We've never had to use them because the river just ain't that deep, y'all. It's only about 3 to 5 feet deep throughout most of the entire roughly 180-mile course. So yeah, you just stand up and walk out. Lastly, first city ordinance, there's no smoking, vaping, or dipping out on the boats or anywhere on the Riverwalk. You did it up on street level. You drink down here on river level on the boats, just not the other way around and not together. That's about it. Sit back, settle in, have those cameras out, take a lot of pictures. Do a couple miles and be back here before you know it. Without further ado, I'll let you know we had 3 different loading docks, same tours, same stories, different order. Over here at the mall, because that was the mall back there behind us when we went around the lagoon, if you didn't know. Up here in front of us here, guys, off to my left is this statue called the Stargazer. Built last year using volcanic stone and marble from Mexico. She's holding a star she's gazing at, hence the name Stargazer. We're going to get started on the other side of the river with a different statue. The story of how we got the name San Antonio. So long before the town began, hundreds of years ago, with it was the river first, named for St. Anthony de Padua. I'll tell you all about him as soon as I save my head in this first little bridge. And one thing I didn't tell you guys is that 6'5", I'm the tallest boat captain in the city, and there are some footbridges, like this one right here, that just ain't 6'5". So I was going to do a little bit of that. Yeah. Pays to turn around and watch me and follow along and laugh together. I like to laugh on the boat. Okay, over here to my right, on with our story. You see where I'm pointing? This is the statue I was telling you about. This 8-foot tall, larger-than-life statue of St. Anthony de Padua. So he was a Franciscan Portuguese priest born in Lisbon, Portugal. The capital, died in Padua, Italy, hence the name, just west of Venice. Died a long time ago on June 13th, so that quickly became his feast day in honor of him. And our story begins June 13th, 1691, 332 years ago, when Spanish missionaries passing through here come upon this river. They're so awe-inspired by its beauty. I hope you guys are as well this morning. It's really a beautiful day, so they stopped, held mass, gave thanks, and said, let's name this river, why, of course, after St. Anthony, because it was his feast day after all, June 13th. But the local indigenous Native American tribes, the Payaya Indians, told them it was already called the Yanaguana, which means restful, peaceful waters. What a good name, yeah. The Spaniards insisted on renaming, So in Spanish, St. Anthony's River becomes, of course, Rio San Antonio, and the name was born. So if you think about it for a quick moment, guys, if they had been even a day or two earlier or later, I guess we'd have a different name, now wouldn't we? A different feast day. But then 27 years later comes May 1st, 1718, when the town began, when they come back to the river, and this time stay to build the first of what later became 5 Spanish colonial missions, give the new name of the river to both the town San Antonio and the mission, calling it Mission San Antonio de Valero. Today we call that former mission the Alamo. Whether you've been in the Alamo or not, now you see how it all nicely ties together right around the river, June 13th in St. Anthony, with the Alamo and San Antonio from the very beginning, even before it was the Alamo. But you see, I hope to start it all and give us the name. Now, 250 years later, it was 55 years ago, 1968, we got to hold the World's Fair here to commemorate our big birthday. It was called the Hemisphere 68. We had millions of people come here from all over the world. And this finally gave us the chance to show off the Riverwalk. It had been done decades earlier, 1939 and 1941. That's it, right up ahead. Multicolored umbrellas, that's Casa Ria, the first restaurant on the Riverwalk. So that is the original part of the Riverwalk and the natural part of the river. So what we did, guys, in preparation for the World's Fair, we dug 4 feet deep here to extend the river and the Riverwalk behind me, off to my left, which is now mainly the convention center. And then 20 years later, in the mid-80s, we did the same thing behind me to my right. And we built a mall all around that lagoon where we began. That mall opened up in 1988, 20 years after the World's Fair. So what we'll do is we'll take a left turn here and do a clockwise loop around the natural part of the river, and then head over to the fairgrounds. It's now the convention center. We'll end with an inspiring story of unity and coming together as one, and then we'll be back at the wall where we started. So our next story, though, guys, if we come on out here, is the story of a beautiful 4-diamond hotel that was built in record time for the World's Fair. Everybody take a look right here in front of the boat. Not too hot, the sun's right there. But if you can block the sun on the one hand, you might be able to see the name of the hotel up at the top of the building there where it says Hilton Palacio del Rio, Palace on the River. So this hotel was built in record time for the World's Fair. We didn't get started on it until quite late. We're approaching another one of our loading docks where we got 3 of them. This pink boat is just waiting for guests. This is nobody here yet. But anyway, what happened was we didn't get started, like I said, until quite late. So with very little time on which to build, we had crews work around the clock in staggered shifts. Built it so fast, the hotel is now in Guinness World Records. It's the fastest hotel of its size. And we built 21 floors, almost 500 rooms. And we did the whole thing. Ready for this, guys? It was 202 days. Start to finish, less than 7 months. What's even more amazing is the way we did it. So check this out, guys. Because we got started so late, we quickly learned we didn't have enough time to build the way we normally would. We came up with this radical new way to build called modular construction. We build from the outside in. Just like with a modular home, think of this like almost 500 of them. It's a modular hotel. The way it worked is we learned we could go a lot faster by putting everything inside the rooms first, and then putting the finished rooms in the building one at a time. Go backwards what we used to do, but it worked. So anyway, the plumbing, lighting, electrical, carpeting, furniture, all of it. When the rooms were done, we'd stack them on top of each other like the box you see over here, attach them to steel cables, hold them up on cranes, and slip them right into place. If you picture Legos meets Tetris, yeah, it gives a really good visual of what it looks like assembling it. And because of that, because we were able to do it so quickly, we were able to open up just a few days before the start of the fair. Now, as we leave the loading dock and the hotel behind, take our first right turn on our clockwise loop. We'll be heading west once again. We'll be passing through a beautiful outdoor amphitheater called the Hardison River Theater, where many of our river parades are broadcast from on TV. Hundreds of shows throughout the year on this stage that we'll be going by. As a matter of fact, guys, when you go home, watch the movie Miss Congeniality again. Show it to the kids. Because about an hour in the movie, you'll see this theater right here. Remember us passing through. And you'll see the lovely Sandra Bullock right here on this stage talking about world peace or the evening gown competition. See they're getting the lights ready for a show probably tomorrow, maybe tonight, who knows. But take a look at the back of the stage, guys, around 20. You see over here? Those 5 bronze bells? They symbolize the 5 missions of San Antonio, the Alamo, and the other 4 that I was telling you about. Now as we pass through the Artisan River Theater, continue heading westward, we have some good photo ops over here at the waterfalls. And then there is outdoor sculpture up here of a cowboy right outside the 3-story museum, 9 different galleries, called the Briscoe Western Art Museum, where kids under 12 get in for free. That's right, guys. Active duty military get in for free. Veterans, just like here, the boats get discounts. We are Military City, USA. Take a look right here where I'm pointing. You'll see on the wall the name of it, the Briscoe Western Art Museum. And some of the things you find inside the Briscoe include Poncho Villa's last known saddle, Santa Anna's ceremonial sword, a life-size replica of a stagecoach, all kinds of neat things. When I was a kid, it was a circus museum. I used to love going there. So much fun. Long before that, it began its first life in 1903. It was the very first public library here in San Antonio. You see, we have this long-standing tradition of trying to save our buildings, not tear them down when at all possible, but preserve the history and the architecture of the exterior. We transform the inside into something totally different. So many of these buildings began as something other than what they are today. Talk about a few more of them here on the tour. But right now, let's talk about nature. Look surrounding us here. We have all these cypress trees, the most common tree in the river. Take a look over here to my right. This cypress tree, its roots just naturally formed into a heart-shaped island where for over 100 years, people have been getting married on Marriage Island. It's even said to bring good fortune to all those who get married there. I don't know if it's true or not, because I'm so single, so what do I know? That's just what they told me. Sounds good to me. They say the Rolling going to come back to town, and I sure hope she would take my tour, because I understand she's single again. And that would be most awesome. We can live happily ever after, just like in the movies. Yeah. Over to my right, more cypress trees. You can easily spot them with the green needles. And we have the 4-diamond hotel over here called the Westin Hotel. It's, I'm told, where the NBA players typically stay when they come to play our Spurs. But when I was a kid, this was a parking garage. Yeah, when I came back stateside 20 years ago, I had to park somewhere else to walk around downtown. Later learned that it had become the Westin Hotel. Look quickly to my left, way up high in the sky. Across the river from the Westin is a very tall building, very iconic on the San Antonio skyline. The tallest 8-sided tower in the country. It's called the Tower Life Building. It opened up to great fanfare on the 1st of June, 1929. It's the very first skyscraper here. Topside of 404 feet, 31 stories, 100-foot flagpole. And those things up top, sticking out the sides, you see them up there? They're called gargoyles. Look down below where I'm pointing. You'll see pairs of ugly faces going all the way across. They're kind of gargoyle called grotesque. To ward off evil spirits. Then up above, you got the tall pointed spires and ornate decorated elements. These are all the hallmark traits of neo-Gothic architecture. The most common building style here from 100 years back to the 1920s. So now you know what to look for when you walk around and see 100-year-old neo-Gothic buildings. Now, in front of the boat, comes from a couple of decades earlier, 1896, the Bayer County Courthouse. It is the oldest, the largest, and the oldest continuously operating historic courthouse in all of Texas. And over here to my right, guys, this 3-story building is where we moved the main public library to in 1968. But 30 years later, 1998, after I graduated college, I was living overseas, worked for the Army. This got converted to the International Center. Got rid of the parking garage that I'd used. We kept the marina that we had for some time. We have a lot of our boats inside here. Where I cannot see boats though, guys, up ahead around these corners. Remember, I'm tall, but I'm in the back. So I'm going to honk the horn and announce our approach. Ready? Here we go. Just like that. So if there's anybody out there, they can't see us either. They can hear the horn and know that we're coming. Just one of the many ways that I keep you guys safe out here. So we take this right turn, continue our clockwise loop. We head north for a little bit. Take a look behind me. The river just took a left turn and goes south. No boats there, so we're good. the opening over there, that's the entrance to the other marina, the main one. We got this boat early this morning. We go to the end of the night. So the river continues south past the marina, connecting with the other four missions all the way to the Gulf of Mexico, about 180 miles. It begins a few miles north of here. These springs come up from underground, flow south for a few miles to the zoo, a park, a golf course. Loops through downtown, as we're doing on the tour, forming a great big natural bend to the river. Looks like a big old backward C or a sideways horseshoe. So we call it the Horseshoe Bend or simply the Great Bend. Where we are now, this man-made section not only connects the south and north tip of the horseshoe, making it a full loop, but what happened was in the late 1920s, the Army Corps of Engineers came out here almost a century ago and dug this roughly 15-foot deep man-made flood channel. You know what, guys? Come to find out, this is the most heavily prone flash flood region in all of North America. Go figure, huh? That's why the Alamo had to be moved a couple times in the early years. It kept getting flooded over. It's also why the National Weather Service calls this Flash Flood Alley. We get so many flash floods here. It's really what ultimately led to the creation of the Riverwalk, all of those many years ago. Really it was safety first, then at time turned into this beautiful site that we are getting to enjoy together this afternoon. And what since the mid-90s become the most popular tourist destination in the whole state of Texas. And the Alamo, that's number 2. You think about it, guys, it makes perfect sense, but the Alamo is only open certain hours. The Riverwalk, being part of nature now, never closes. As we take our next right turn, continue our clockwise loop, we'll be heading east towards the Alamo, back to the mall where we began, doing the northern leg of the horseshoe. I did the quiet southern leg. Now we'll do the touristy northern and the central leg. As we go back inside the natural flow of the river, once again, shallower waters, and pass underneath a much smaller archway than the one we came out of when I hooked the horn. Both are called floodgates. The one back there goes up, this one here comes down, both very slowly. You can look up right here, guys, and see the floodgate. And by closing the gates when it rains so heavily, we're able to make sure it doesn't flood in this inner horseshoe bend, if you will. And the flood channel out there keeps it safe out in that area. Just a little bit of some of the behind-the-scenes safety measures in the river. And the Riverwalk, you're likely wanting to learn about had you not taken a tour. But as we head east towards the Alamo, back to the mall where we started doing the northern leg of the horseshoe, you see there's a couple of boats up there. On the other side of the St. Mary Street Bridge, that's the dock I worked at yesterday. It's called the Aztec Dock. It's right outside the beautiful and recently renovated Aztec Theater. Dates back to its opening 1926. In the heyday of motion picture palaces, that was heralded as the most lavishly decorated of them all. And a few years back, we renovated, and that's what we do here. We turn it into more or less a concert venue. Now, as we slowly go by the boat, we're waiting for people to get on the boat. Over here, as busy as we got. Like I said, I was over here yesterday. Pretty slow. Take a look up above, right here where I'm pointing. Over here where I'm pointing to my right. See on the top balcony, there's on the other side of this big branch here, you see a big Aztec sculpture. There's a lot more like that inside the 6-story brick building that houses the Aztec Theater. But as we leave the Aztec Theater behind, this footbridge in front of us that we're approaching is called the Robert Hugman Bridge, named for the father of the Riverwalk, young local architect that came up with the plans to build the Riverwalk and save the downtown area from the flash flooding, and turn into this beautiful site that we're enjoying together this afternoon. But the bridge is more commonly, unofficially known as the Selena Bridge, or a short but famous scene near the end of the movie Selena after they got married. I'll let you know in secret, this is not seen in the movie. No, as far as I'm aware, I think I'm the only boat captain to point out, you gotta turn around, guys, because it's the other side of the bridge. So if you turn around, Make sure I have everyone's attention. There we go. If you don't turn around, you don't see Salinas Bridge because the boat goes underneath as we just did. Then the camera cuts to show the bridge like that. And it's a nighttime scene. When you watch it, you'll be like, oh yeah, I see what you're talking about. Thanks, Captain Carl. You'll thank me later. So there's 2 movies to watch to relive your time on the boat. Miss Congeniality and Selena. We've had many other movies filmed out here, but this is just a quick overview tour. Little intro to San Antonio, if you will. That being said, over here to my left, this beautiful 4-diamond hotel is called the Omni La Mansión del Rio, a mansion on the river. And it opened up in early April 1968, time for the World's Fair. We didn't have to build it quickly, it was already here. We had a couple of years to renovate. It began as a school way back in 1853, eventually becoming St. Mary's University, and relocating a few miles back behind me. And that is the oldest Catholic college in all of Texas. It all started right there on the river. Now it's a beautiful 4-diamond hotel. You can see the movie Selena. So you take a look over here to my left as we come out of the bridge. We have another building we don't want to tear down. Look way up high in the sky. This tall building looks like it's flat. Pretty neat, huh? So what you're looking at there used to be a very important hospital in downtown San Antonio. The Nick's Hospital opened up late 1930 during the early days of the Great Depression. And a couple of years later, the legendary comedian Carol Burnett was born right there. She turned 90 in April, and a lot of medical firsts took place right there over the years. But the hospital did close right before the pandemic began. The plans now are to one day turn it into a hotel. Today it stands as an empty building. Speaking of hotels, right in front of the boat, guys, where I'm pointing, we have the 16-story tall Hyatt Regency Riverwalk Hotel. On the other side of the Hyatt is the Alamo. If you haven't been to the Alamo yet, this would be a good time to go. It's free to get in. It's open every day of the year except for Christmas, from 9 a.m. till 5:30 p.m. You can go to their website, thealamo.org, and secure a free online timed entry ticket to the chapel at a time of your choosing. Or just head over to the red information booth in Alamo Plaza, get a ticket, walk around the 4.2 acres at your leisure, do a self-paced, self-guided tour. With this right turn, we've completed the northern leg. Now we're on the central leg of the horseshoe, a real touristy section here, because we have a lot of restaurants and shops up ahead. Now, if you look over here to my right, way up high in the sky, very little wind, there's a Texas flag up top of that multicolored, multi-tier dome. It sits atop the Mesoamerican Revival-style casino club building. Dates back to its opening 1927, used as a private club by Germans until World War II, sat vacant for a while. Eventually, we renovated. That's what we do here. And we turned the bottom part into restaurants you see here, and the top part, why it became residential. There's 40 apartments up there, guys. All those windows you see up there, there's people living up there. Yeah, not me, other people. I don't know these people either. Man, if I lived there, it'd be a nice, short, convenient walk to work. I wouldn't have to worry about parking or gas. That'd be nice. Maybe one day, huh? But as we move on from there, we come into River Square. It was built up in the mid-1960s in preparation for the World's Fair. A lot of these restaurants here of Restaurant Row came about as a direct result of the World's Fair. I cannot overstate the importance of the World's Fair. Finally put us on the map, globally speaking. Millions of people from all over the world came here and got a chance to show off the Riverwalk that had been done, 39 to 41, the 5 missions, the 5 military bases, and all the many different cultures that make up San Antonio's rich cultural history. And you look right here in front of the boat, way up high there, once again, Hilton Palacio Villa, that Lego Hotel. So you see we're coming full circle on this loop around the heart of downtown. Very shortly here, we'll be taking a left turn to go back on the man-made section, back to the mall, but first we'll go into the convention center, what's left of the fairgrounds, and we'll end our tour with an inspiring story of unity Everybody coming together. That's how I end the tour. Before we make that turn over here to my right, this is Casa Rio. Very first restaurant opened on the Riverwalk, 1946. On the 4th of October, so they're coming up on their 77th anniversary in just a couple of weeks. Very popular restaurant, especially with the families. Family owned and operated from the very beginning. In fact, 4 generations of the same German family still running the most popular Tex-Mex restaurant here. I like to think of it as good diversity, San Antonio style. But as we now go back into the man-made section, we head towards the mall where we started, in the convention center. Let me tell you, the mall is open 10 a.m. till 8 p.m. today and tomorrow. Sunday, it's only noon to 6. Now, for the families on board, we have some great attractions in the mall, like Legoland Discovery Center and Sea Life Aquarium. We have the Dave and Buster's. Stays open much later than after the mall closes. We have a couple of movie theaters, including an IMAX movie theater. So a lot of fun things to see and do. Not just outdoors, but inside as well. As we head east, on the man-made section over here to my left, next to the Chamber of Commerce, we have a big public artwork here of butterfly wings. Only been there since May, but it was very popular over the summer. People get their pictures in front of it, and it kind of gets transformed into angel wings. We have a lot of public artwork out here, like a free outdoor public museum, if you will. But grab your cameras for a really cool sight. Don't want to miss out on this one, guys. Point your cameras to my left, up high in the sky, up above these trees, coming to view here, where I'm pointing. Will be a beautiful steeple adorning the top of St. Joseph Katholische Kirche. I don't see any cameras up. You guys are going to miss it right there. That is St. Joseph's Catholic Church. My German a lot better than my Spanish. Same with them. That's why they built in 1868. 2 years later, they actually outnumbered the Anglos and Hispanics, and street signs are in 3 languages. Across the river from St. Joseph's, another wonderful photo op. Don't want to miss this one. To my right here where I'm pointing, nicely framed by the trees, we have the Tower of the Americas, built as the centerpiece of Hemisphere 68. Elevators take you up to the observation deck or a nice sit-down rotating restaurant. You get a lot more information on the website, toweroftheamericas.com. To include the menu for the restaurant, you can make reservations for a special day and time, or just head on over there. So we have thealamo.org and toweroftheamericas.com. Here's the Stargazer welcoming us back, but remember, we're not done yet. The final 5 minutes or so, we'll take this right turn and go into the convention center. What's left of the fairgrounds. As we get closer to the Tower of the Americas. Now, if you want a good laugh, take a look back here at me. As we have coming upon us another low bridge that is actually lower than that first one over there that we started with. Yeah, here we go. Ready? Take a look. Guys got to turn around to be able to see me. Don't see y'all miss out on that. Oh well. That's okay. We get one more time when we come back out. So, 55 years ago, we'd be approaching the main entrance to the World's Fair. Now we're coming into the convention center, the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center. Native San Antonio, the very first Mexican-American elected to the U.S. House of Representatives.